I mean, just in terms of the reviews and kind of my thinking around this was, you know, if you think about the psychology of the buying process and you just think about how you buy things as an individual, I don't know, maybe you Google things, and then what Google will do is it'll say, okay, well, especially if it's something that's a local thing. I've got a Google Assistant in my office, and occasionally when I say the word Google, it starts talking to me. So apologies for that. What Google will do is it'll actually, sorry, excuse me 1 second while I figure out how to let people into the room. Here we go. There we go. Cool. Yeah, what it does is it kind of ranks, and one of the things that you notice when you do a Google search is that it gives the Google My Business pages. It lists the Google My Business pages. So that's super helpful if you're actually a local, you know, you've got a local business, but absolutely free and a missed trick if you haven't got your Google My Business page, because all you need to do is register your business with Google, say where your physical address is, and then they will send you they'll probably send you a postcard to the physical address with a code in it so that you can verify that your business exists in that physical address. You type that in, you're verified, and then Google will then list you on the search ranking. So, you know, maybe not a huge deal for businesses that aren't operating locally, but there probably is people that are, you know, in the location where you are that are typing things in and asking Google the question of things. And, you know, why wouldn't you want to come up in those searches? So if you haven't done it already, please do go and claim your Google My Business page from Google. It's totally free to do. And you know, and get that. What that does is it kind of puts you on Google's roadmap a little bit more as well, which is never a bad thing to actually be listed. So, how many people have got their own Google My Business page sort of claimed and in operation? A couple of people have done that. Yeah, okay. So about half of us have done that. Good. Okay. And then obviously what Google then does is it figures out how it's going to rank people. And one of the things that it looks at is reviews. So it puts a ranking based on lots of different things that Google will never tell you what they actually are. But one of them is actually reviews. So as soon as Google's the biggest search engine, it seems sensible to me that you would have Google reviews. Does that make sense? Okay. So to get Google reviews is really straightforward. All you need to do is to basically ask for them and send people the link directly to the Google My Business page, which is why you need that, even if you're not a local business, because that's the container where the reviews are actually sitting. And people have to go directly there. So if you're getting reviews and feedback from another method, you kind of can't get them into the Google your Google page. It has to go directly into the Google page. So what we tend to do is we push them to Google, or basically the same thing to Facebook as well. Actually, you have to get them into Facebook. Somebody has to be logged into Facebook and leave the reviews. You can't put the review on their behalf for kind of the obvious reasons. So if I'm searching for something, I'm in Google, or if I'm in Amazon and I find things and I kind of click on the first one or two and have a bit of a look around, and then you have a little bit of read the first couple of reviews, you scan down, and if you find a bad one, then you read that just to make sure that there was nothing nasty said there. And that's it. So it's just a little piece of the credibility and the psychological validation that we all do when we're looking to buy things. The same is true of business services as well as B2B products. So from that point of view, it's totally sensible to have to be collecting reviews on Google. If you are in the product business, then whatever platform you're using, Amazon, SDA, whatever the sales platform there is, then that's kind of where you would want to be collecting reviews. If you think about the buying process, so I search for something, I have a bit of a look around, maybe read some reviews, and I click through and I go to your landing page. Okay, so if I get to somebody's landing page for a product or service, then I'm kind of scanning down what the product is. And again, I want to be seeing, I think on that landing page, I want to be either seeing reviews or testimonials to answer the credibility and to answer the I'm not on my own here. So again, that's where the reviews would come in on your landing pages of your products, your services, to kind of build them into there. So helpful from that point of view. It's actually okay to have bad reviews as well as good reviews. Obviously, you don't want too many bad reviews, but it adds to the credibility. So one of the questions that people often ask is, well, I don't like asking for reviews in case somebody leaves me a bad one. It'll happen, and then the way that you deal with bad reviews is actually quite helpful in terms of your credibility with your market and your audience. So having bad reviews is certainly not a reason to not ask for reviews. So what people do, go a bit of search, come to a landing page, check out the reviews, and then take the action. Okay, so if we're thinking about traffic, if we've got any traffic flowing anywhere, then we'll talk about lead gen in a future session. But I'm going to use these reviews fairly frequently. So if I can capture reviews, I'm going to use those reviews fairly frequently and put them on lots of kind of different places. And I'm going to select the reviews and turn them into testimonials in order to give me kind of credibility on my landing pages. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so question for you. What platform where's the kind of the highest source of traffic for you, and does that platform, whatever that platform is, does that have a review capability? So coming to your landing pages, your website and your landing pages, where is your traffic coming from generally?
Google.
A bit of Google, yeah. Anybody anything other than Google?
Google and Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, this is a big B2B contingent for you, Colin. What about B2C contingent rather? B2B, so where does the traffic for the 2020 group come from?
Yeah, we have some from LinkedIn. This primarily it's directly into our website. I mean, we've got loads of testimonials, but this area of review is something we haven't, I don't think, considered and taken full advantage of. So I'm lapping this all up.
Okay, cool. All right. The other place to consider having reviews, of course, is on your own website. So, for example, an awful lot of websites are WordPress. How many people run a WordPress website?
Yeah. So
a few hands there. If the people that are not on camera, have you got put your hand up if you've got a WordPress website? Okay. Don't know whether they're even listening to me. The guys that are muted and off camera. So we'll just carry on regardless. Okay, so there's loads of WordPress plugins that do kind of capture reviews and can enable you to capture reviews. There's lots of different mechanisms to kind of achieve this. On this kind of worksheet here, if I post this into, has everybody seen this worksheet that I've got here? Yes, no?
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Where's chat gone? I'll just stop sharing for a second and get control back. There it is. So that worksheet, which is this one here. So if you click on that, it'll just say, do you want to make a copy of it, rather than everybody overwriting kind of my version. It'll just say you want to make a copy of it. Little exercise, little simple thing for you to do. Maybe you want to think about it now, but certainly do it after the call, which is just jot down here, kind of in this table. Let me share screen again, otherwise you won't know what I'm talking about. Just jot down in this table how many reviews you have on these these platforms. Okay. Now, obviously, some of the platforms are not relevant for you. So, you know, TripAdvisor is very relevant if you're a restaurant, a hotel, or in the hospitality industry, but not very relevant if you're not at all relevant if you're a business consultant. Fine. But, you know, what about all the other places? And if you've got other platforms where people are effectively, your target audience is hanging out, and that's where some traffic could come from. Okay, what are those places, and do they have review capability? And if they do, have you got any reviews on there? So I'm really just using this as an exercise to focus into the highest priority place to start, for you to think about, okay, well, that's where I want to start driving requests to leave me reviews, would be. You know, lots of different ones in there that are more relevant in different areas. Yelp, but also your own website. So my question at the bottom there, it's in kind of in bold, which is, how many reviews have you got on your own website? And just jot the number down there. And if it's a small number, okay, maybe that's a place where you want to increase the number of reviews. If it's a big number, then happy days. And like I say, what we do is we generally drive traffic to Google to get people to leave reviews on Google, because they have to validate their name that way. And then Georgia or somebody else will go in and they'll just simply copy the review out of Google and put it into, we use Thrive themes on a WordPress website. That's our, our theme, and it's got something called Ovation. And we just copy it and just copy the review in there. So we've now got about 170 reviews on Google, something like that, which gives me 170 reviews in a database. So if I'm putting together a landing page for a promotion or something, or even a blog post in an article funnel, then I can select the reviews that are relevant to that I want to appear in and around that landing page. So I've driven the traffic into leaving the reviews on Google, because I can't do it the other way around, but then I'm taking the reviews and having that basically as a database of reviews on my own website. And because I use a little tool, there's dozens of them, loads of WordPress plugins that can do this. I'm sure other platforms have lots of plugins as well that can do this, that just allows me to kind of, I'm going to use the word manipulate, but I don't mean that in a bad way, organize the reviews to be visible on the landing pages. Because I think if you've got a landing page, even if it's an article landing page, and you haven't got some reviews kind of built into that, are you missing a trick there? That, you know, if somebody's reading that and considering whether they're going to take the call to action that you've got on that page, and you haven't got any reviews of some description on it, then I think you're probably missing a trick in terms of the psychology of how people go through and take decisions about what they click on next. So it'd be worth doing. Okay, so if you can jot down afterwards the reviews you've got on there, give that consideration, and then think about, well, okay, so which website is the most important website for you to kind of build your reviews on. From that, what's everybody thinking? Are we all going to end up with Google as the most important?
How would you classify the difference between a review and a testimonial?
Yeah, semantics to a degree. Generally, the reviews, you're driving people and you're saying, could you leave a review? So they go to a place and it's unstructured and unguided. Testimonials for me, and we'll get to it in a minute, I'm a lot more contrived about how I go about getting testimonials because I want the testimonials to be structured. Whereas reviews, they're a bit outside my control. So,
Right.
you know, because they are controlled by the platforms, how many stars do you want to leave out of 5, and 4, 5, whatever, and then type something and you know, lots of people just type in good job or excellent or nice people or something like that. Fine for a review, a bit useless as a testimonial, really.
Yeah.
So I'm being proactive about the testimonials a little bit more.
I must say, I think it's a really good point, David. I mean, on our main website, it is literally the first thing we ask people to click is the testimonials, you know, because we've got maybe 200, you know, really good ones. But I never thought of then putting that link into blog post or another page. So yeah, really good point.
Are you using a WordPress website, Colin? Yeah, so there'll be little widgets that basically you just select the widget in your blog post and it all kind of is organized and does it for you, and then you categorize. As I say, we use Ovation from Fry Themes to do this, but there'll be plenty of others. And it's, yeah, it can't do any harm, can it?
No, that's good.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so let's have a look and see where we're up to. Chat, let's have a look here. Okay, cool. Okay, so how to get reviews is really a piece of cake in terms of the automation that sits behind it. In Campaign Builder, in Keap or in Fusionsoft, you know, as soon as somebody has done any business with us, a tag gets applied and they just get an email that says, please would you click on this link and go and leave a review. Now, in Google, for example, you need to get what's called the CID number that takes people directly to the review page. So if you go to your Google My Business page and click on leave a review, it kind of opens in a modal window where you can get somebody to, when they click, to go directly to that point, removing as much of the friction as possible so that they can leave a review. And you get that link, and Google will get you that link. Your technology coaches will tell you exactly how to do this. Same thing on Facebook. You can go directly to the Facebook review part of it. Put that in an email. Somebody transacts with you, does some business with you, ping them an email saying, hey, thanks very much. Would you mind leaving me a review? Clearly not everybody will. You know, a percentage will. I don't know how big or small that percentage is likely to be for your business, but it's going to be more if you send them an automated email that says, can you just leave me a review? If you haven't got any reviews or you're at the beginning and you're starting, well, you know, just set up a little campaign that asks everybody that you've done business with in the past for a review, and a percentage of them will go through. And you can find, you know, when we started doing this, which was about 3 years ago, we had like 2 reviews. I don't even know how we got 2 reviews, to be honest with you, because I never asked for any. And again, they appear mainly in local search. Sent out some emails and went to 30, 40, 100 very, very quickly. So obviously we're a marketing company, we're a technology company. If you look at all my competitors, they've got like 3 reviews, 4 reviews, but we've got 170. So that's got to have a little effect on the credibility and the influence and we're B2B marketing services and technology services. So, you know, totally off normal use for consumer reviews, but it does help, and people do comment on the number of reviews. And then, as I say, we publish them all onto our website as well. Okay, cool. So get reviews, start off with just dump your database into an email campaign, send some emails out, ask people to go and give you reviews. And then an automated process after that, that every time you do a new piece of business, why not ask for a review? Once you've set it up as an automated program, then you can kind of forget it. You know, you just, that's fine, that's done. It's running in the background, don't really need to worry about it anymore. And that kind of ticks that box, and that requirement goes away to a large degree. Does that make sense?
That software's in Keap, is it?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the sending the emails out, that's in Keap. So all you need to do is in the email, put in the link to whichever of the platforms you want to take them to.
Okay.
And then the email will go out, you know, that automation, that automated process, that all happens automatically, as you'd expect. So if you just chat with your technology coach, they'll help you set that up, Colin, easy peasy, okay. No worries. And like I say, we've actually got the backbone campaigns that we can just magically push into your app to take away the structural building of that, put in some copy, and away you go. Very easy to fix. Cool. Okay, let's just have a look before we. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so that's reviews. Testimonials. Let me just share this my notes again. Is that actually sharing? Is that?
Yeah.
You can see that as testimonials. Okay, right. So the way and it was a good question from before, Carly, the way I think about testimonials is a little bit contrived, but it's what I'm trying to achieve with testimonials is basically, I would like the testimonial to answer all the concerns and objections that people have before they buy. Okay, so you know, if you sat there and you're thinking about it, well, what are the concerns and objections that people have before they buy from you? Can you write a list of them? So price is probably going to be one, okay, put price down. But, you know, what are the other concerns and objections? Is it reliability, availability? So I'm just trying to find a builder to do some work on my property. So availability is absolutely key because lots of them can't turn up in 2021. Or if they can turn up in 2021, it's not until late 2021. Well, that's kind of no good to me. I need somebody that can turn up, and then, you know, are they reliable? You know, price is not the biggest thing in that particular scenario in my mind. So, you know, reliability, availability, quality, credibility. What else have you got for your business? What are the concerns that people have? Okay, you can jot those down. Then if we want the testimonials to address those concerns, okay, what I'm thinking here is, okay, well, what would be the question that I'd ask somebody so that the answer to the question would highlight the concern that they had before they bought, and then ask them how they feel about it now? Because in my testimonial, you know, if somebody's got a price concern, I want them to say in their testimonial, I thought this was going to be really quite expensive. I wasn't sure whether I could afford it and it would be valuable. However, I took the risk and got involved. And what I now feel it was the best decision I've ever taken. So I want them to articulate in the testimonial kind of the question, the concern. Okay, so if I was to, for example, send out a survey and ask people what their concerns were, and then ask them how they feel about those now, I can start to build up a bit of an understanding of what my buyers are concerned about, and then I can do something about addressing that, and then I can ask for testimonials that are based around those questions. So for some of it, it'd be very easy, and you can just write the question out and elicit the answer from your customer base. Other things, you might be quite interested to find out what concerns people actually do have before they buy. There might be a few outliers there that you might not have thought of. But if you can ask the questions and get them answers back in, gives you the data. Okay, so the next kind of little task is good. All right, so what are list out the biggest concerns that people have before they buy? Jot those down there. Write a question for each of the concerns to try and elicit from the people you're going to send this survey request. I'm going to call it a survey request. What is it that they that you need to ask them to get them to kind of answer the question? Jot that down. This exercise, it doesn't take long, but it's not instant to think this through. And now we've got, you know, a series of quotes, a series of testimonials, maybe just snippets of testimonials that we can then use to address people's pre-buying concerns. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so how would we, in an automated way, in a systematic way, go about putting this together? Well, it's actually a little, the way I would work it through, it's a little survey. So I put together a little web form. You can do this in Keap, use web forms in Keap, lots of other tools as well, but you could do it in Keap and Infusionsoft. Ask people the questions and have them just respond to those questions. Send out a request in an email to complete the survey. I'm not sure I like the word survey, but it'll do for today. Feedback form, mechanism, however in your voice you would, you know, you'd kind of articulate that. Send that email out to as many people as you possibly can. A percentage of them are going to respond, but from that you actually start to get the responses, and then you can pick from that, sort of cherry pick the, you know, the things that you want to put into your testimonial reel. So I don't think testimonials need to be a testimonial from one individual that covers all these points. I think it's totally fair to have different people covering the points. And if you watch some of the videos that people put on sales pages, where they've made basically they've made a video sales letter and they've got a testimonial section on it, they'll have different people answering the questions. And again, it's relatively easy, especially with a bit of encouragement, shall we say, to get people to say, okay, well, could you talk about that on camera? And, you know, in whatever world it was we used to live in and maybe we're living in the future, you could actually send a film crew to the person's place of work and capture these. Or you could just ask them to do it on, you know, on their phone, just a recording on the phone, or you could Zoom interview them, and then you just knit these things together, and that effectively becomes the testimonial show reel. So whatever the product or service is, what do we want our customers to validate about our claims, such that the person reading that and looking at that will actually click the button to take the action to take the next step. And if we can tick those boxes, I think we come up with much more powerful sales pages and sales landing pages, you know, for our offers. Relatively easy to do, relatively often not done because it's probably not highest priority for most people. really simple to automate. So a little bit of work up front, then it's automated, and then you can tick this box and never really need to worry about this again, because you should get a continuous flow of the collateral that you're looking for. Same as reviews, you know, you just do it effectively the same as review. So from a technological point of view, again, it's a form, it's an email with a link to a form. They fill in the form, and that gives you the data. Multiple emails go out to nag them a little bit, but as soon as they fill in the form, they stop getting the emails that are nagging them to fill in the form because they've done it. So the automation takes care of that. And again, every time, you know, what you could do is you could, when somebody buys, you could send them a request for a referral, for a review. Then you're seeing the people that are leaving reviews. That's great. If they've left you a 5-star review, then you send them the survey a little bit of time later to give them, you know, not nagging them and pestering them too fast, but a little bit of time later, a little bit of a delay, and you ask them to give you a testimonial, and you capture the testimonial. Short campaign, you know, elapsed time of that from purchase to getting all that data in and ticking both those boxes, I don't know, 3 to 4 weeks, something like that. All automated, all just runs for you, never need to worry about it again. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Any kind of questions from anybody, or discussions, conversation?
Social proof is key, I agree.
Okay, thank you.
David, have you done any research on the timing of the, you know, when you send them out, depending on the type of business, you know, because obviously if you're selling a product, then obviously someone could be instantly happy with your service. But if you're involved in training or service delivery, it can take time for the client to be, you know, happy with you or happy with your service. So have you done any research of when's the best time to do this?
Have I done any scientific research? No. My judgment would be, it's a great question. My judgment would be people are very enthusiastic as soon as they've bought. Mm-hmm. So if you can catch it, so as soon as I've bought, I'm susceptible for you asking me a question about what are my concerns before I bought. And I'll answer those. Okay. I can't really give you a testimony about the quality of your product yet because I haven't consumed it, but I will answer the questions about my concerns before I bought. So you could capture that. Yeah. And then after they've consumed the product, it's another survey. And that one's more akin to a feedback survey sort of thing, you know, quality survey. I'm going to use it in the same way as a pre-sales tool, but it's a slightly different survey. But so to answer your question, Bill, I think you can send them a what were your concerns before you bought survey pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when they're at the most excited, isn't it? So they're your new best friend at that point. So it's a good time to make sure that goes in. And the reason for the automation, of course, obviously is where you've got, there's a lot going on at that point. You know, you've got to onboard them. There's a lot that you need to do to get things done. If you're shipping things to them, all that needs to be done, and you know, tracking and all that. Or if it's an education process, then you've got to bring them up to speed. If it's a coaching process, then you've got a little bit of education that you're doing to them to get them ready for you to coach them. So there's a lot going on, which is why I know that you'll never do it unless you automate it. Because you'll never remember to get around to doing it. Whereas if you've got it automated, it just happens, and that's it. That's the end of it.
Lovely. And are you ready for some more supplies now?
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Yes.
So we're working through this pretty fast today, which is great.
You're not. Ooh.
So the action steps are basically set up a campaign to automatically ask all your previous customers, I would suggest,
No, that's fine. We'll pop those in the
to
post
leave you a
tomorrow.
review and
Thanks
send
very
them
much
to
for phoning.
your highest priority
Yeah.
platform. Has somebody's got the mic open in the background with something else?
We do. Yes. Yes.
Somebody on the
All right,
phone
thanks,
by the
then.
sound.
Bye.
Who's that?
Bye.
Oh, it's okay.
Thank
I'll
you.
I'll mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's all right.
I'm in the
I think
office.
you're off the phone now. There you go. No worries. Yeah. So, what I would recommend you do is find the most influential platform for you. Ping out a request to all your previous customers and just bump up your reviews instantly. Not instantly, but pretty quickly. Easy win to do. Just ask your technology coach. They'll push a campaign in there. We can get that sorted out with you in, half an hour or so. Okay, and then that can all be happening. Then just have it such that when anybody buys anything, there's a trigger that just does that process. Very simple, 2 or 3 emails in a little campaign to do that. Boom, taken care of. Then the next thing is just think about the surveys, think about the questions that you need to be asking in the survey. That takes a little bit more thought, but don't overthink it, but it does take a little bit more thought, and then have that as a web form that again you're asking people at the appropriate time to fill in, and that'll give you the testimonial information. What I generally do with testimonials when I get some feedback is that the person's written them in their own voice, but they haven't necessarily written them in a way that answers the question as well as I would like it. So I tend to write my own testimonials, okay, from them, but in their voice, and send it to them and say, look, I've just paraphrased you a little bit. Are you okay with that? I always ask for confirmation and that they're happy to do that. So I'm not just making them up completely, and I am taking their answers, but that way I get something that's nicely boxed off the way I want it to be. And it's probably more critical, to be fair, than they might have felt they could be up front. Because I've asked myself the tougher questions that maybe they didn't answer, and then answered them for them and put them in there. So I've created my own testimonials, get sign off. I mean, you don't need that many testimonials. For all the products and services that you sell, half a dozen testimonials is probably enough to answer all the questions that people have. It's not as though there's a huge requirement for lots of testimonials. Lots of reviews, a few testimonials is all you really need.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Speaking about, that what you're just saying there, can you just give them a multi-choice so that they tick the actual testimonial or the review? Or is that a bit too?
Well, for the review, they need to be logged into Google as them. So I can't control what they're doing at that point. For the testimonials, kind of open-ended questions work best. I want them to type their own feelings in their own voice. So if I give them too much structure, what I end up with, all the testimonials effectively say the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want, and you give 10 people the same question, and 4 of them will answer in 3 words, and 2 of them give you a whole essay.
Yeah.
And you don't really know who's going to do what up front. And what you want is you want the essay bit, really.
Yeah. But it's all right to edit that and send it back to them and say, do you approve? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got one more question. Can you motivate people by giving away stuff?
Yeah, of course you can. So most of the platforms for reviews don't really want to see you doing that. So in Google, on Amazon, I don't know about Facebook how concerned they are or not, but Amazon certainly, they don't want to see that you're bribing people to leave reviews.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they don't see it, they don't know. But it's hard to do that. But what you certainly could do in an email that you sent out is saying, hey, look, I'm collecting reviews, and what this would be good for my business. Would love you to do that. And everybody that leaves a review will go into a free prize draw.
Mm-hmm. In an email request, yeah.
Yeah. You could do that. You got to be careful in and around the platforms, because the platforms are trying to say to the audience that these are genuine reviews.
Mm.
So it's tough for the platforms to then have anything that evidences that they're anything other than genuine reviews.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a whole industry in some of the places like, India and the Philippines, but they do generate lots of reviews because they have people that log in and leave reviews. And that's why, places like Amazon have verified reviews. So this is an unverified review because we've got no evidence that the person actually bought this product. Whereas this is a verified review because we know they actually bought the product on Amazon, and therefore we know that they can leave a review. And they're all working hard to make the reviews as sensible as possible. But, when you look at product stuff, you can go, well, I can see that not a lot, that a few of these reviews are likely to be more chonky than others. We don't want to be associated with that.
Mm. Where does Trustpilot, I'm sorry.
No, go on.
Where does Trustpilot sit with all that then?
Yeah, Trustpilot's just like the rest of them in that they would prefer it to be an unbribed review, an unincentivized review.
Mm-hmm.
They're not daft, these platforms, and they know they want you to ask your customers to leave reviews. They want you to do that because they want people coming on and leaving reviews because they want to have more people on the platform. So they do want you to ask for reviews. They just want you to be very careful about how you incentivize people for leaving reviews. Mm-hmm. So I think that they're okay with you saying, please go and leave me a review. And the more reviews we get, the better. And there's a free prize draw. If you said anybody that leaves a 5-star review will get 5 entries into the, I think that's crossed the line that the platforms would be comfortable with.
One last comment, because I don't want to take up. The only other thing I say is when I listen to podcasts and things like that, I do hear people just say, hey, leave us a 5-star review. Like they literally ask for it. Yeah.
I mean, asking for it and incentivizing it is nuances around that, though, isn't it? I mean, obviously, when the coaches are talking to people, I hear them always saying, hey, if you could leave a review, that'd be great. If it was 5-star, that's even better. Ha, 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 ha.
No harm in that.
Okay, that's fine. That's just humans talking to each other. But, leave a 5-star review. Leave us a review. If it's 1 star, we'll delete it. If it's 5-star, we'll send you a box of chocolates. I think that crosses the line, doesn't it? That's not quite what it's all about. And you ain't got time to manage all that either. The point of the automation is everybody is asked to leave a review. The vast majority of people who can't be bothered to do it, they certainly would not have done it if you didn't ask. But as soon as you did ask, they clicked on the link, you made it as easy as possible. It's probably only your friends and people who like you that are likely to do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's less likely that somebody that gets that email and then thinks, right, I'm going to leave a 1-star review. So by the very nature of human nature, you're almost certainly going to end up with a lot of 4 and 5-star reviews in that process. You might get the occasional one, but like I say, I think a 1-star review is quite comforting to see on someone's profile. You're not perfect, you didn't, but it must be answered. I mean, every review that we get, we answer it. So we answer say, thank you, it's a good review, thank you very much. We have had a few bad ones, and I always say, well, thank you for the feedback. I'm sorry you had that experience. Mm-hmm. We'll try and do better. Mm-hmm. You have to resist the temptation, which is very difficult, to not argue with people on the review response. There's no point. So even though it's sometimes it might appear very unfair that somebody's leaving you a review because of something they did, but they leave you the bad review, well, all you can do is say, sorry you had that experience and you feel that way. We do try our best, but we're not perfect. Rather than, what are you talking about? You're talking rubbish. You know, it's just not going to get anywhere when it's read out of context by somebody else 2 years later on your Google My Business page or your Facebook page. So don't bother. Okay. Any questions from anybody? Any feedback? Any comments?
Can I just ask David, with the reviews, I don't know if yours go to Google or Facebook or maybe both, but you say they need to be monitored. Is there, not knowing anything about this, do you physically have to go in, or is there automation of some sort that tells you that a review has or is being added?
Yep. So in Google and in Facebook actually, but I'll talk Google, because they're leaving a review on your Google My Business page. When a review is left, Google will send you an email saying somebody's just left you a review. It'll tell you how many stars it is and it'll tell you what the review is, and it'll have a little button underneath it that says reply.
Okay.
All you need to do is click the button, that opens up the reply inside your Google My Business page. Done. So kind of Google takes care of that monitoring part of it for you. Same with Facebook.
Okay, thank you.
And if people leave endorsements and things like that on LinkedIn, you'll know, you get notified by LinkedIn that there's an endorsement on there. So you don't tend to leave replies to endorsements on LinkedIn. You could, but people tend to just accept them.